was take his phone off him and let's seize it. Evidence.
Evidence of what?
Hey, it's a security breach, buddy, okay? I'm not having you see phone in my car.
The moment the two constables step in, their defense completely unravels. They try to justify their actions by claiming that staff entering and leaving the headquarters felt alarmed and distressed by Plaud's filming. But case law has long made it clear. Police officers, by the very nature of their profession, are expected to withstand a higher level of scrutiny, challenge, and public observation. Attempting to dodge that, the constables argue that these were plainclothes staff in their personal cars. Yet that excuse holds no weight. They were still on police property, performing duties connected to policing, and therefore directly tied to the institution Plaud was auditing. Their association with the police is precisely why Section 5 doesn't apply in the same way. You can't simply clock out of accountability because you're off duty or out of uniform, especially when you're entering or leaving police premises. Welcome to Rate the Audits, where we expose misconduct, break down police and legal encounters, defend public rights, and demand accountability. In today's episode, brought to us by Kohley Burks, we witness a shocking example of policing gone wrong. While lawfully auditing a police station in Southampton, Kohley is suddenly surrounded by a sergeant and two officers who abandon all professionalism, reacting out of emotion instead of law. What begins as a calm and lawful interaction spirals into chaos, culminating in one officer violently smashing Kohley's camera for absolutely no reason. But Kohley doesn't let it slide. He takes the force to court, and the legal fallout that follows exposes just how deeply flawed and reckless parts of the UK policing system have become. Welcome to Rate the Audits, where we expose misconduct, break down police and legal encounters, defend public rights, and demand accountability. In today's episode, brought to us by Kohley Burks, we witness a shocking example of policing gone wrong. While lawfully auditing a police station in Southampton, Kohley...
Been filming other police stations at all?
Is it your business?
Yeah, it is. I'm asking you now, yeah. Because if you're going around filming all the police stations, that makes me feel very uneasy.
Right.
And
so what are you trying to do?
To investigate that.
Okay, what do you want to investigate?
Why you are filming Hampshire police stations? Is my conversation not clear? Are you not clear on what I'm saying?
This is a camera, mate. I've given you assurances that I'm not here for any trouble.
Have I explained that? Have you not registered that?
I don't even think you are on edge. There's three of you. I've got a camera. Like, you guys are armed. Like, why would you be on edge? Should I not be the one that's on edge?
It's when we're coming out in personal vehicles.
Yeah, but what can I possibly do with your personal vehicle?
You tell me.
Then you should maybe consider taking the bus to work or something. I don't really understand.
So why should myself and my colleagues, or our way of getting to work?
Because you're so concerned about security arrangements and whatnot. So if it's such a security risk...
I'll tell you why, because police officers get attacked on and off duty.
Right.
That's what makes me nervous.
Okay.
And they do that because people share our private information and track us down to where we live with our families. That makes me nervous.
From the moment the sergeant steps outside, it's clear he's already on edge, and that's where everything starts to unravel. Instead of calmly assessing the situation, he lets paranoia take the wheel, reacting to imagined threats rather than real ones. His claim that Kohley is filming private number plates instantly falls apart since number plates are, by law, public identifiers meant to be visible to everyone. But when the sergeant admits, "I don't know, but it makes me feel uncomfortable," he exposes the deeper issue. Policing driven by emotion rather than evidence or law. Kohley didn't cause the tension. The sergeant did, by letting personal discomfort override professional judgment. It's a textbook example of how fear and misunderstanding
police officers. Well, if you don't have any idea, then you can't be making those assumptions. Like.
Oh, I can.
Well, no, you just said I have no idea. Like, you're a detective, mate.
I work in this industry, in the security industry, and I know police officers have been followed home. I know police officers' vehicles have been targeted.
Okay, well, I'm telling you that I'm not interested in harming any police officer.
But I don't know that, do I?
All right, well then, what are we gonna? How are we gonna proceed then?
Well, I'd like you to go if possible.
So is that gonna what does that achieve? Like, I'm not gonna go.
Well, it makes me feel better. I don't understand why you'd want to put me on this edge.
You haven't given a good reason for doing it.
I don't need a reason though. What I'm doing is lawful.
Okay, I'm not saying it's not lawful.
Okay, so why would I need a reason?
It's just like my colleague is explaining it.
Do I have to account for my actions in a public place doing something legal? You can find it strange. It's not illegal if it's strange. Like,
is there anything you need to report to us today?
No.
Is that the reason why you're here?
No.
No? Why are you here though?
To film.
Why to film?
Because this is what I want to do.
This is where the excuses start to sound downright ridiculous. When Kohley calmly points out, "If you're that worried, take the bus," the officer actually responds, Why should me and my colleagues go out of our way to get to work? That's absurd. He's the one raising a security concern, not Kohley. You can't park your personal car in a public space, wear a police uniform, and then complain about being seen. That's not a threat, it's hypocrisy. Then, to make matters worse, the sergeant tries to justify it by claiming officers have been attacked because people share their private information. But that argument doesn't hold water either. Kohley isn't revealing anyone's home address or personal details. He's simply filming lawfully in a public area. Their reaction isn't about security. It's about control and ego, and it shows how easily some officers blur the line between genuine safety concerns and personal discomfort.
There's
Like,
CCTV all the way around.
Of course there is, exactly. So what, I don't know why we've got such a
And obviously today
front
we've got another one.
about
Do you not think that
filming.
the police station could be a security risk?
Is it not a secure building? Like,
That wasn't my question. Do you concede that people may want to target a police station?
no,
You don't concede
because
that?
it's not. I don't think it's a valuable target. I don't know what sort of people you're referring to. I don't think this is a valuable target for a terrorist. Has a police station ever been attacked
Yeah, up in
by a
London they
terrorist?
have.
Has they?
Yeah, London
Which
police
one?
stations have been attacked quite regularly.
I don't think they have.
Okay.
Well, name one then.
So, yeah.
So you can't name them, but you're saying that it's happening. Well, which one then?
I can tell you, but I won't.
What?
I can tell you, but I won't.
You can tell me, but you won't.
Yeah.
All right, that's a bit odd. I don't know why.
You're not given a reason for being here.
The sergeant isn't even trying to hide that he's policing based entirely on emotion. When Kohley calmly asks, "How can we proceed then?" the sergeant responds, "I'd like you to go if possible." And when Kohley reasonably asks, "What will that achieve?" the answer is astonishing. "It will make me feel better." That's not law enforcement. That's feelings enforcement. Every statement from the sergeant centers on him. It makes me uncomfortable. It puts me on edge. It would make me feel better. Since when does a citizen have to adjust their lawful behavior just to soothe an officer's personal discomfort? The roles are completely reversed. The police are supposed to serve the public, not demand the public serve their emotions.
Weren't engaging in honest conversation. They were just trying to win an argument.
This was like a genuine security risk, and this genuinely posed a threat. I wouldn't be irresponsible and come and do this. Believe me. And if this was behaviour that I knew that terrorists engaged in,
But it is.
I would have
They
been
film targets. They definitely-
overtly
Well, they might do.
with this little crappy
How do
little
I know
gimbal.
You're not a terrorist. How do I know that? How do I know that?
You don't know that, but you have to go
Exactly
based
right.
on what you do know. There needs to be an objective
so
basis.
What I do know is I've got a man who's not willing to give his details stood in front of me who's filming police stations.
Okay,
So that's what I do know. That's the facts.
okay.
Is it not?
So me filming does not implicate me as any sort of like prospective terrorist
But it
or otherwise.
raises my suspicion.
Well, you can be suspicious all you want. Like it's not a crime. You suspecting me of doing something is not a crime. You need to have some sort of reasonable suspicion or objective basis to suspect me as a terrorist.
No, well, at the moment, I think you are filming a police station
Yeah.
with no reason to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You are refusing to give your details. I have no idea where that information's going, and I know you have filmed other Hampshire police stations.
When Kohley questions the so-called security threat and asks if a police station has ever actually been attacked, the sergeant boldly claims, yes, quite regularly. But that's just nonsense. There have been a few isolated incidents, mostly decades ago or tied to Northern Ireland's troubles, but nothing that even comes close to regular. The reality is clear. UK terror data shows attacks on police premises are extremely rare. Modern threats target public spaces, transport hubs, and large crowds, not random police stations. Then, to make matters worse, another officer smugly adds, "I can tell you, but I won't," like a playground taunt instead of a professional response. That childish deflection perfectly sums up the issue. They weren't having a genuine, informed conversation. They were just trying to win an argument they'd already lost on the facts.
Section 44? 43, is it? I think we can do that. I think we could do that.
Sure, you want to do that? I don't think you got grounds for a Section 43 search.
Well, I'm telling you, I think I do. Okay, so
Yeah, well, it's not about thinking. This is objective. It's not an opinion,
Okay,
is it?
okay, look.
The legislation's black and white. It's not I think.
you can have this conversation with the solicitor afterwards, and they can come after me at a later date. That's absolutely fine. Okay,
Okay.
that's your right.
So you're going to abuse my rights now, yeah?
Okay, no, I'm not. I'm going to use our powers. So
Okay.
what I'm saying, I find your behaviour very suspicious.
Okay.
You are filming not just this police station in Hampshire, but other police stations in Hampshire. You can give me no legal,
Listen to what you're saying,
there's
Hampshire.
no legal reason why you are doing
Okay.
that, other than because you want to.
Yeah,
You are
I don't
refusing
need
your
a
details,
reason.
So we can't even verify who you are or what you are doing it for. Therefore,
I'm not obliged to
I
give
consider
details.
that to be quite a big terrorist risk. Okay, so you are now detained for this search.
This exchange perfectly captures what happens when authority takes the place of understanding. When Kohley calmly says, "I don't think you have grounds," the sergeant's response, "I think I do," exposes everything wrong with his mindset. That short phrase isn't confidence. It's ignorance. He's relying on personal belief rather than any legal foundation. Section 43 of the Terrorism Act isn't about what an officer feels might be suspicious. It requires clear, objective, and articulable grounds that any reasonable person could recognize. Kohley calling him out, reminding him that the law isn't about thinking, but about what can be proven, is absolutely right. Detaining someone under terrorism powers is one of the most serious actions a police officer can take, and it demands precision, not hunches or gut feelings. The sergeant's response shows he's acting on instinct, not evidence. And that's exactly how policing goes wrong.
And this genuinely posed a threat, I wouldn't be irresponsible or come and do this. Believe me. And if this was behaviour that I knew that terrorists engaged in,
But it is.
I would have
They
been
film targets. They
What,
definitely-
overtly
Well, they might do.
with this little crappy
How do
little
I know
gimbal.
You're not a terrorist. How do I know that? How do I know that?
You don't know that, but you have to go
Exactly
based
right.
on what you do know. There needs to be an objective
Yeah, so
basis.
What I do know is I've got a man who's not willing to give his details stood in front of me who's filming police stations.
Okay,
So that's what I do know. That's the facts.
okay.
Is it not?
So me filming does not implicate me as any sort of like prospective terrorist
But it
or otherwise.
raises my suspicion.
Well, you can be suspicious all you want. Like it's not a crime. You suspecting me of doing something is not a crime. You need to have some sort of reasonable suspicion or objective basis to suspect me as a terrorist.
No, well, at the moment, I think you are filming a police station
Yeah.
with no reason to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You are refusing to give your details. I have no idea where that information's going, and I know you have filmed other Hampshire police stations.
This moment perfectly shows how police powers should never be used. When Kohley asks what the officers are searching for, the sergeant confidently responds, "Anything related to terrorism." A statement that reveals a complete lack of legal understanding. That phrase has no meaning in law. Under Section 43, officers must have specific, reasonable suspicion that someone is carrying an item connected to terrorism, not just conduct a vague search hoping to find something suspicious. The instant an officer can't clearly define what they're looking for, the entire search becomes unlawful.
If you've completed the search,
At the moment, we're trying to identify who you are.
I know, but you've just detained me for the purposes of a search, not to find out my identity. So now,
And at this
as
time,
I'm further detained, this is becoming more and more unlawful because now you're detaining me to find out my name. Like, that wasn't the object of the search, was it? You've done the search, it's come back negative. I know, but you're the one that's launched with the power, so I feel like you're the
The
one.
officer said you was trying to find out your identity.
Yeah, but that wasn't the purpose of the search.
Okay, just-
Section 43 doesn't require me to give my
Is
details.
that what you're saying? Do you want to go?
Yes.
Go on then.
Can I get a copy of the search slip, please?
you've been arrested before.
Don't worry, in due time, you'll find out everything you need to know.
Okay. I'll wait in due time and then I'll know who you are, won't I?
Oh, well, I can't go.
Is he recording cars as they're coming out of there?
Yeah, it is.
Let's take his phone off him and let's seize it. Evidence.
Evidence of what?
Hey, it's a
Evidence of
security
what?
breach, buddy, okay? I'm not having you see phone in my car.
Kohley tried to go through the proper legal channels by filing a subject access request to obtain the officer's body-worn footage. Hampshire Constabulary immediately slammed the door shut. They cited Section 45(4)(e) of the Data Protection Act, a clause meant to protect ongoing investigations or genuinely sensitive data, not to conceal public misconduct. The footage in question was filmed in a public place, featuring uniformed officers performing official duties. There's no lawful or ethical reason to withhold it. It's obvious the force isn't safeguarding sensitive material. They're shielding themselves. If Kohley takes this to court, it's a near certain win. His detention, justified under shaky terrorism grounds and driven more by emotion than evidence, would almost certainly be ruled unlawful. Damages for false detention and breach of rights could easily range between $2,000 and $6,000, or even higher if the court concludes the evidence was deliberately suppressed. The legal system rarely looks kindly on police forces that both abuse their powers and then attempt to cover it up. As of now, there's been no further update from Kohley. He's currently serving time for an unrelated matter. Still, it's a sobering reminder that justice and accountability don't always move at the same speed.
Deceitfulness is not instilling any confidence from myself nor the public in the Hampshire Constabulary. If anything, it is exposing their lack of transparency and openness in dealing with a blatant case of misconduct. So I'm simply following the letter of the law and using the tools and information given to me as via legislation.
The update makes this whole case even more infuriating. When Kohley tried to do things the right way, filing a subject access request to obtain the officer's body-worn footage, Hampshire Constabulary responded by shutting the door. They cited Section 45.4e of the Data Protection Act to deny access, a clause meant for protecting ongoing investigations or sensitive data, not for hiding misconduct caught in public. The footage was taken in a public space, involving uniformed officers on duty. There's no legal or ethical reason to withhold it. It's clear the force isn't protecting sensitive material, they're protecting themselves. If Kohley were to take this to court...
Welcome to Rate the Audits, the channel that exposes misconduct, breaks down police and legal encounters, defends civil rights, and demands real accountability. In this episode, we feature Auditor Applaud, who was lawfully filming outside a police headquarters from public land when an inspector stormed over, as if he'd just caught a major crime in progress. What followed was a display of arrogance and ignorance. The inspector threw around non-existent laws, backed by two equally hostile officers determined to intimidate Applaud into stopping his lawful activity. When their bluffing didn't work, they took it even further, misusing Section 50 to justify an unlawful arrest. But Applaud didn't back down. Instead of accepting a quiet settlement, he stood his ground and turned their abuse of power into a full-blown legal battle, forcing real accountability through the courts.